There's a skill that separates people earning $50,000 a year from people earning $500,000. It's not intelligence, it's not a connection, it's not even hard work, because plenty of people work hard and stay broke. The difference is focus, the ability to concentrate without distraction on cognitively demanding work that actually generates wealth. Right now, someone is spending 8 hours at their job, checking emails, attending meetings, responding to Slack messages, putting out fires. They feel exhausted at the end of the day. They worked hard, but they didn't learn anything that would increase their income. They didn't build anything that generates revenue. They didn't create any leverage. They just traded time for a fixed paycheck. And that paycheck will look almost identical next year and the year after that. Someone else spent 3 uninterrupted hours building a software tool that automates their work. Now that tool saves them 20 hours a week, which they use to take on freelance projects at $200 an hour. That's $16,000 extra per month. Same intelligence, same starting point. The only difference was 3 hours of deep, focused work that created a money-generating asset. Here's what nobody tells you about building wealth. The activities that actually make you rich require sustained, undistracted focus. Learning high-income skills like coding, data analysis, or digital marketing, building businesses that generate passive income, creating content that builds an audience you can monetize, analyzing investments deeply enough to make informed decisions. None of these things can be done while scrolling Instagram between tasks. And here's the problem. The modern world has destroyed your ability to focus. Your phone buzzes with notifications, social media algorithms are engineered to be addictive, email culture demands instant responses. You've trained yourself to be distracted, and every time you check your phone, every time you context switch, you're losing money. Not directly, but in opportunity cost, in skills you're not learning, in businesses you're not building, in investments you're not analyzing. Welcome to Wealth Notes Lane. This channel is about thinking clearly in a noisy world, about money, business, and building a future that actually holds up over time. Today, we're breaking down Deep Work by Cal Newport, but we're applying every single concept to one question. How does the ability to focus deeply translate directly into wealth? Because this isn't about productivity for its own sake. This is about understanding that in 2026, your attention is your most valuable financial asset. Cal Newport published Deep Work in 2016, and while it's framed as a productivity book, it's actually a wealth-building manual. The core thesis is simple but devastating to how most people approach making money. Deep work is professional activities performed in a state of distraction-free concentration that push your cognitive capabilities to their limit. These efforts create new value, improve your skill, and are hard to replicate. Shallow work is non-cognitively demanding tasks, often performed while distracted. These activities don't create much new value and are easy to replicate. Checking email, attending routine meetings, scrolling social media, administrative tasks. Here's the financial reality. Deep work makes you money. Shallow work keeps you busy but broke. And most people spend 80% of their time on shallow work and wonder why they're not building wealth. Let's make this concrete with real numbers. Think about a software developer. One developer spends their day in constant meetings, responding to messages, fixing minor bugs, switching between tasks. They're busy. They feel productive, but they're not learning new frameworks. They're not building side projects. They're not creating anything they could monetize independently. Their income is capped at their salary, maybe $80,000 to $100,000. Another developer blocks 4 hours every morning for deep work. No meetings, no Slack, no interruptions. They use that time to master AI and machine learning. Within 6 months, they've built expertise that commands a premium. companies are paying $300,000 for ML engineers. Or they build an AI tool and sell it as SaaS for $10,000 monthly recurring revenue. Same profession, 10 times the income. The difference is deep work. Or think about content creators. One person posts randomly on social media, a reel here, a tweet there, reacting to trends, staying busy. After a year, they have a few thousand followers and make maybe $100 a month from it. Another person dedicates 3 hours every day to deep work on long-form content, writing in-depth articles, creating comprehensive video scripts, building real value. After a year, they have 50,000 engaged followers and are making $10,000 a month from sponsorships, courses, and affiliates. Same platform, 100 times the revenue. Deep work. Newport argues that we're in a historical moment where deep work is becoming simultaneously more rare and more valuable. This creates what he calls the deep work hypothesis. The ability to perform deep work is becoming increasingly rare at exactly the same time it's becoming increasingly valuable in our economy. As a result, those who cultivate this skill will thrive. Let's translate that into money language. AI and automation are eliminating shallow work. ChatGPT can answer emails. AI can schedule meetings. Automation handles routine tasks. If your job consists primarily of shallow work, you're competing with AI and you will lose. Your income is under threat. But AI can't do deep work. It can't replace humans who can think deeply about complex financial problems, who can build sophisticated business systems, who can create truly valuable content, who can synthesize information into original insights. These capabilities are becoming more valuable because they're becoming more rare as everyone else gets distracted into irrelevance. Here's the uncomfortable financial truth. In 2026, there will be two types of workers, those who can do deep work and those who can't. The first group is earning multiples of what the second group earns, and that gap is widening every year. Look at the highest paid professionals. Software engineers at companies like OpenAI make $400,000 plus, not because they work the most hours, because they can focus deeply on complex problems that create massive value. Top investors, like those at firms like Blackstone, making millions of dollars, not because they trade the most, because they can analyze investments deeply enough to see opportunities others miss. Successful entrepreneurs building 8-figure businesses, not because they're the busiest, because they can focus on the few high-leverage activities that actually grow businesses. What do they all have in common? The ability to do deep work, to focus without distraction on cognitively demanding tasks for extended periods, and that ability directly translates into income. Now let's look at people stuck financially. They're not stupid, they're not lazy, but they can't focus. They check their phone every few minutes. They context switch constantly. They mistake busyness for productivity. And because they can't sustain deep focus, they can't learn complex skills. They can't build valuable things. They can't solve hard problems. So their income stays flat or declines in real terms as inflation eats away at it. The financial penalty for inability to focus is massive and growing, but the opportunity for those who develop deep work capacity is equally massive. Newport divides all work into two categories with radically different financial outcomes. Deep work creates value. Shallow work is maintained. If you want to build wealth, you need to maximize deep work and minimize shallow work, because wealth comes from creating new value, not from maintaining existing systems. Let's break down specific money-making activities that require deep work. Learning high-income skills. Whether it's coding, data science, AI, digital marketing, or financial analysis, mastering skills that pay 6 figures requires hundreds of hours of focused practice. You can't learn Python while checking Instagram. You can't master financial modeling while responding to texts. Deep work is the only path to skills that command premium income. Building businesses. Every successful business owner will tell you the same thing. The actual business building happens in focused blocks of deep work. Writing business plans, developing products, creating marketing systems, building operational processes. None of this can be done in fragmented attention. If you're constantly distracted, you'll stay stuck in the planning phase forever. You'll never actually build anything that generates revenue. Content creation and personal branding. In 2026, the ability to build an audience and monetize it is one of the most accessible paths to six-figure income. But it requires deep work. Writing valuable content, creating high-quality videos, developing courses. These activities require sustained focus. The people making $50,000 a month from content, they're not scrolling social media all day. They're doing deep work to create exceptional value, then spending minimal time promoting it. Investing and wealth management. Warren Buffett spends most of his time reading and thinking, deep work. He's not day trading or checking stock prices constantly. He's deeply analyzing businesses to find investments that will compound for decades. That approach has made him over $100 billion. You can't replicate that while your attention is fragmented. Freelancing and consulting. The freelancers making $200 to $500 an hour aren't doing commodity work. They're doing specialized work that requires deep expertise and focused execution. A graphic designer who can spend 4 uninterrupted hours creating exceptional brand identity work charges 10 times more than one who's constantly distracted and produces mediocre work quickly. Do you see the pattern? Every path to significant income requires deep work, and most people have completely lost the ability to do it. Here's the financial cost of distraction. Every time you check your phone during focused work, you're not just losing those few seconds, you're losing 20 to 30 minutes of deep focus, because it takes that long to get back into a state of deep concentration. If you check your phone 10 times during a work session, you've effectively destroyed your ability to do deep work that day. Let's calculate the cost. Say you're building a business that could generate $10,000 monthly passive income if you focused on it seriously. But you can't focus. Every work session gets interrupted. What should take 3 months takes 2 years. That's 19 months of lost income, almost $200,000 of opportunity cost from checking your phone. Or you're learning a skill that could increase your income from $60,000 to $120,000, but because you can't focus, it takes you 3 years instead of 1. That's 2 years of lost $60,000 raises, a $120,000 cost of distraction. The numbers are brutal when you actually calculate them. Inability to focus isn't just annoying, it's financially devastating. Newport provides a framework for building deep work capacity, and every element directly impacts your earning potential. First, you need to decide on your depth philosophy. How will you structure deep work into your life? The monastic philosophy means eliminating almost all shallow obligations and focusing entirely on deep work. This is extreme, but incredibly effective for certain wealth-building activities. Think of someone who quits their job for 6 months to build a business with full focus, or a developer who goes offline completely to master AI. The financial results can be extraordinary if you can afford the initial period. The bimodal philosophy means alternating periods of deep work and shallow work. Maybe you work a regular job 3 days a week and dedicate 4 days to deep work on your business. Or you take 3 months per year to focus entirely on learning new skills. This balances income security with wealth-building deep work. The rhythmic philosophy means doing deep work at the same time every day. This is most practical for people with jobs. Wake up at 5 a.m., 3 hours of deep work on your side business before your job starts, every single day. In a year, that's over 1,000 hours of focused work on wealth-building activities. That's enough to build a 6-figure business or master a 6-figure skill. The journalistic philosophy means fitting deep work wherever you can. This is hardest, but works for some people. 30 minutes here, an hour there. You need the ability to quickly switch into deep focus, which most people lack. For wealth building, the rhythmic philosophy is usually optimal. 3 hours every morning before the world intrudes. No phone, no email, no distractions. Just you and the highest leverage money-making activity you can do. Learning, building, creating. That one habit, sustained over time, will transform your financial life. Because here's what compounds. 3 hours daily is 21 hours weekly, over 100 hours monthly, over 1,200 hours yearly. That's enough focused time to build a business from $0 to $10,000 monthly revenue, to learn skills that double your income, to create content that builds a 100,000-person audience you can monetize. But only if those hours are actually deep work. If they're fragmented by distractions, you'll get maybe 20% of the results. So protecting those hours becomes financially critical. Newport's second discipline is embrace boredom. This sounds unrelated to money until you understand what it really means. If you can't tolerate boredom, you can't focus on difficult money-making activities. Because building wealth often involves periods of frustration and grinding through hard problems with no immediate payoff. Learning to code? There will be hours where you're stuck on a problem and nothing is happening. If you can't sit with that boredom and frustration, you'll quit. You'll check your phone for dopamine, and you'll never develop the skill. Building a business? There will be weeks where you're working hard and revenue isn't growing. If you need constant stimulation, you'll abandon it for something that feels more immediately rewarding, and you'll stay broke. The people who build wealth have trained themselves to tolerate boredom, to sit with difficult problems, to keep working when nothing seems to be happening, because they understand that breakthrough often comes right after the point where most people quit. So practice being bored. Don't reach for your phone every time you have 30 seconds of downtime. Let your mind wander. Sit with discomfort. This trains the attention stamina you need for wealth-building deep work. Third discipline, quit social media. Newport doesn't say all social media is bad. He says apply a craftsman approach to tool selection. Ask yourself honestly, is this tool substantially helping me achieve my financial goals? For most people, the answer is no. Social media feels productive because you're networking or learning, but when you calculate actual return on time invested, it's terrible. An hour on Twitter might occasionally lead to a valuable connection, but that same hour spent in deep work, building your skills or business, would generate far more value. Here's the financial test. Track how much time you spend on social media in a week. Multiply that by your desired hourly rate. That's the opportunity cost. If you spend 10 hours on social media and your target rate is $100 an hour, you're losing $1,000 weekly, $50,000 yearly, from scrolling. Now, maybe you are using social media strategically to build a following you monetize. Fine. But even then, you should spend far more time in deep work creating exceptional content than scrolling and engaging. The ratio should probably be 10 to 1, 10 hours creating for every hour engaging. Most people do the opposite and wonder why they're not making money. Fourth discipline, drain the shallows. Identify shallow work and ruthlessly minimize it, because every hour spent on shallow work is an hour not spent on deep work that makes money. Common shallow work that kills wealth building? Excessive email checking, pointless meetings, busy work that feels productive, administrative tasks that could be automated or eliminated, constant availability to interruptions. Newport recommends scheduling every minute of your day, not to be rigid, but to be intentional about protecting time for deep work. If you don't actively protect it, shallow work will expand to fill all available time, and you'll never build wealth. Practical example? Instead of checking email all day, check it twice, 11 a.m. and 4 p.m., 30 minutes each. That's it. You've just reclaimed 7 hours weekly for deep work. That's 360 hours yearly. Use those for wealth-building activities, and you could easily add 50 to 100,000 to your annual income. Or meetings. Most meetings are shallow work. They could be an email. If you're in a job with constant meetings, this is killing your ability to build wealth. You need to create boundaries. Block your calendar for deep work. Decline meetings that aren't essential. Batch necessary meetings together. Or if you're building a business, avoid the trap of constant networking and coffee meetings. Yes, some networking matters, but 1 hour of deep work building your product is worth more than 10 hours of networking meetings. Focus on value creation first. Network from a position of having something valuable to offer. Let's talk about specific deep work routines optimized for wealth building. Morning money blocks. This is the single most powerful habit for building wealth. Wake up at 5 or 6 a.m. 3 hours of deep work on your most important income-generating activity before anything else, before email, before meetings, before the chaos of the day starts. What do you do in those 3 hours? It depends on your wealth-building path. If you're learning a high-income skill, that's what you do. 3 hours daily of focused practice on coding, data analysis, AI, whatever skill you're mastering. In 6 months, you'll be good enough to charge for it. In a year, you'll be expert level, commanding premium rates. If you're building a business, use those 3 hours for the highest leverage activities: product development, creating content, building systems, not email, not social media, the actual work that grows revenue. If you're investing, use that time for deep analysis, reading annual reports, understanding businesses, developing investment theses, the work that actually leads to good investment decisions that compound wealth over decades. The key is consistency. 3 hours every single morning, no exceptions, no "I don't feel like it today," no checking phone, just focused work on wealth building. Do this for a year and your financial situation will be unrecognizable. Create a shutdown ritual. At the end of your workday, completely disconnect. Newport argues this isn't just about rest, it's about cognitive performance. Your unconscious mind needs downtime to process complex problems and make creative connections. When you're constantly connected, you never give your brain a chance to do this background processing. Financially, this means you'll solve problems better and have better insights if you actually disconnect. Counterintuitively, working 70 hours a week produces worse results than working 40 hours focused and truly resting, because the quality of thought matters more than quantity of time. Embrace productive meditation. Use physical activities like walking or exercise to think deeply about specific business or financial problems. Not listening to podcasts, just thinking. This trains your ability to focus on a single problem and work through it mentally. For wealth building, you might use your morning walk to think through a business challenge, your commute to mentally rehearse an investment analysis, your workout to process what you learned. You're using time you'd spend anyway to strengthen deep thinking capability. Here's what happens when you build a deep work practice focused on wealth over 6 months to a year. Your income starts increasing because you've developed skills people will pay for. Your business starts generating revenue because you actually built something instead of just planning. Your investments perform better because you're making informed decisions instead of reacting to noise. But more importantly, your relationship with work changes. You're no longer trading time for money. You're creating value that compounds. You're building assets. And because you're doing deep, focused work on things that matter, you're getting better results in less time. Let's address the practical reality. What if you have a job that demands constant availability? Newport's answer: you need to create boundaries or find a new job. Because if your current situation makes deep work impossible, you're not building wealth, you're maintaining. And maintaining while everything else inflates means you're actually losing ground. You might need to be less available, block your calendar, work remotely when possible, have focused work time that's sacred. Yes, this might create friction, but the alternative is spending years being busy without building wealth. Or you build your deep work practice outside work hours, early mornings, evenings, weekends, using that time to build skills or businesses that eventually replace your job. It's harder, but it's the path if your job won't allow deep work. Here's the framework for using deep work to build wealth. First, identify your highest leverage money-making activity. What's the one thing that, if done consistently at a high level, would dramatically increase your income? Learning a specific skill? Building a specific business? Creating specific content? That's where your deep work goes. Second, schedule non-negotiable deep work blocks. Decide when you'll do deep work. Make it consistent. Protect it ruthlessly. This is where wealth gets built. Everything else is secondary. Third, eliminate all distractions during deep work. Phone off, internet blocked except for essential research, no email, no messages. Create an environment where focus is the only option. Fourth, measure results, not hours. Track what you're producing, not how long you're working. Did you finish the course module? Did you build the feature? Did you complete the analysis? Results matter. Fifth, be patient but consistent. Deep work produces results, but they're often delayed. The skill you're learning won't pay off immediately. The business you're building won't generate revenue day one. But if you stay consistent, the compounding becomes undeniable. The people building serious wealth in 2026 have one thing in common. They've mastered deep work. They can focus without distraction on high-value activities for extended periods. And that ability is worth more than any degree, any credential, any connection. Because in a world where AI handles shallow work, deep work is the only irreplaceable human capability. Your financial future depends on this skill. Can you focus deeply enough to learn complex things, to build valuable things, to solve hard problems? If yes, you'll thrive. If no, you'll struggle as your shallow work job gets automated and your income stagnates. The choice is clear. Build deep work capacity or accept financial mediocrity. Because the economy is sorting people into two groups, those who can focus and create value and those who can't. The income gap between these groups is already massive and widening. Start today. Block 3 hours tomorrow morning. Pick your highest leverage money-making activity. Focus on it completely. No phone, no distractions, just deep work. Do it again the next day. Build the practice. Protect your attention like your wealth depends on it, because it does. In a world of infinite distraction, sustained focus is the ultimate competitive advantage. And competitive advantages generate wealth. That's not motivation, that's just economics. Master deep work and the money follows. Stay distracted and struggle financially. It really is that simple.